where are we? We're obviously not sitting down to talk contracts with them yet.
Well, we're not. They have to get in touch with us and say that they would like to do that. We would like to do it, of course. And so that's what happened with the WGA, is the AMPTP lawyers got in touch and said, we want to start negotiating again.
Welcome to the podcast, Caitlin. So happy to have you here today. When I met you, I said, I need that woman on my podcast.
Oh, thank you so much, Rachel. I'm so happy to be here, and I loved meeting you too on the picket line. It was great.
On the picket line, it was at Radford Studios, and it was Boston themed day, and I'm from Boston. So that's why, I made the trek across hill. So, the main reason, besides all these fabulous things I found out about you in my research, but you are a member of the 2023 TV Theatrical Negotiating Committee. And as everyone knows listening, we are in the midst of a huge strike. So I want to lead with that, because how did you end up getting on the negotiating committee? And did you see this coming?
I have to say, I'm so honored to be on the negotiating committee. This is my first time. And I was brought in because of my background in advocating for sexual harassment prevention within the industry, and then also within our union. I'm a member of the national and local sexual harassment prevention committees, and the government and public policy committees as well, which deal with legislation, which is always an important piece of things like sexual harassment policies, workplace policies. And, so I've been very involved in that. It's what got me into union service. I spoke out against Harvey Weinstein in 2017 when that all happened, and really sort of, created this, it started at least at that point as a Me Too movement. The Me Too movement was already happening with Tarana Burke, and it just took off when we spoke about Harvey Weinstein. And really, always my focus when I spoke out was, I have been in this industry since I was 15 years old, and navigated the world of the entertainment industry and on sets just by myself. And it was, as and many people, pretty treacherous. So the focus was really, how do I help change the landscape in the entertainment industry and beyond, of course. But I became involved with SAG because I really wanted to help do that. I became, very purposeful in helping our members with protections in that area. And so I got involved with SAG first as a delegate at the convention, ran for that and got elected. We have elections and in our union, and we have a wonderful convention. And my friend said, "Oh my God, you were like the happiest delegate I've ever seen." It was like 3 days of just so much fun. I loved everything. I loved everything we discussed, every way that people were trying to make our contracts better for our members and, change the landscape of the world that we were living in the entertainment industry. So it started in that area, and I've continued, if sexual harassment prevention, I've continued to pursue that, being in the committees. And then I ran for local board last election and was elected to local board. So I became a local board member and a national board alternate, where I would sit in on national meetings. And, it's a long answer to the fact that I love union service. That's how I got into it. And it is my sort of expertise in the sexual harassment prevention area, working in those, working on those committees, being so passionate about it, and then really sort of focusing on how we might continue to protect our members within our contract. I was invited in as sort of an expert in that area. And that was really exciting. But also because I do love union service so much, the negotiating committee ends up with a package to present to the AMPTP that comes from our workers and wages meetings, 6 weeks of meetings, which any member can attend, and we all hope they do, with all the different categories that we have, background dancers, singers, actors, and many more, expressing where they feel they need more protection in terms of safety, or the wages haven't worked, or all the different intricacies of this big contract that we have. Members will come and express that, and then those sort of issues and ideas and demands and proposals make their way into a plenary, which is it was about 7 days this year. It's usually about a day, where everyone's concerns and asks are considered, and then our package that we present to the AMPTP grows out of that. So I always like to, there are many people on the negotiating committee who've done this before. There's also many of us who are new, who come in because we have, a certain area that we're advocating for, and we're sort of, have listened to our members about what they need, and sort of, have been advocating for the proposals in that area. So that's how I got onto the negotiating committee. Is as yes, and it was my pleasure to advocate for that, within our contract, and we got a pretty good, a pretty good section of our contract on sexual harassment prevention. We kind of went back and forth with the AMPTP, and I'm very happy with what we ended up with, which is in our interim agreement. So that's how I got in, but I love the whole thing. I love every single,
I see that,
every single proposal that we go back and forth with and discuss. I mean, it's really been an incredible experience being on the negotiating committee, and I'm really honored, and I take it very seriously. And, read our proposals back and forth, and again, was in the plenary listening to all of our members in every category. And so, yeah, I'm really happy to be there.
And I thought we did a lot on the governance committee.
Yeah, you do. You do. You love it too, right?
We get wonderful. Things. I love it. I love it. I'm on 2 committees, but we get things passed to us that have come from other committees. But so this is all very fascinating to me. I really believe in union service. I want to take some pieces apart there, because there was just so much. And
I know. And you did ask me if I thought I knew about the strike, but we can get to that. Yeah. The strike is coming.
Yeah. I mean, we do want like intel here, but I guess first of all, when you think about one kernel of truth that motivates us into service. And when I think about you wanting to protect other people because of your experiences, it hurts and it breaks my heart. And I can say, as a woman in this business, that I've experienced many unwanted advances over the years on offset, around set. And to have a woman like you standing up and changing things at the union. I mean, you are partially, right, responsible for intimacy coordinators, right?
I am. I am, in the sense that I advocated it from the very beginning in the W&W's, I think it was in 2019. And I can't take credit for it because it's and I wouldn't want to, because it's a combined effort, but it was, a new position that needed to be created, a new career, something that we needed to have the producers, ask the producers to hire intimacy coordinators. It was a long road, and I and others weren't going to give up. And now in this, in our interim agreement, the producers have agreed to hire intimacy coordinators, or do.
It's the norm now. It's the
norm now. It's
right?
It's a good faith proposal, but that's a strong legal language. They have to show good faith that they have looked for an intimacy coordinators. We still need more intimacy coordinators in the industry. But yes, it was a really long road. I and some other of my colleagues wrote a long letter helping to introduce the idea in our W&Ws in 2019, and it was a long road to get here. It was a long road to get where we are. And you know, in terms of union service, there are many of us like me who have issues that are important to them, and we just don't give up. We just keep trying. And you know, in this particular case, the battle was just that it was a brand new position on set, and there needed to be an understanding of why performers would need something like that. And then, you know, people needed to be trained and put into that position. So it's about 5 years later. And sometimes things take a long time in union service. And I say that because, you know, yeah. Go ahead, Rachel.
This one didn't, though. I mean, 5 years is, I mean, it's a long time, but it's not. I mean, I teach at Lee Strasberg, and we had intimacy training for all the teachers about a year ago.
Amazing.
So it's happening. Yeah.
Yeah, it's happening. And then part of that is also changing the culture around, you know, around doing those kinds of scenes, and just how you treat other people, and what may or may not, you know, inhibit or traumatize a person in terms of their work and their performance. So that has been a wonderful evolution. And, you know, I guess, I mean, when something really matters to you, you want it to happen immediately. And you're right. It's 5 years, and we're here, and it feels fantastic. And there's also issues of making sure everyone has proper training going on set, which we've accomplished, and just, you know, a new landscape where people are respected and considered. And so that's always been very important to me in all of the work, and that people feel like they have a voice.
I really respect you.
Oh, thank you, Rachel.
Yeah, I respect you. How do you, like, for actors that are listening, how do you find the guts to, you know, stand up for yourself, stand up for others? What is the impetus? Did you have a great role model? Were you just like born living out loud? How did it happen?
That's such a great question. I'm actually kind of a shy person, but, you know, but I also love to perform, for example, and I'm sure a lot of actors can relate to that. And it did feel very natural for me to, you know, when I felt that sense of purpose, for example, around this issue, and now around our you know, TV theatrical contracts overall, to just to devote myself and be committed. And I have to say that maybe being shy, or sometimes as a woman, I don't want to take up too much space, and I don't want to ask for things for fear of rejection, or, you know, I'm a fairly polite and sensitive person. I think a lot of actors are sensitive, but you know, I get a lot of encouragement from, for example, the other wonderful people on the negotiating committee to speak my mind, and I feel listened to, and I remind myself that you know, I am being heard. It's okay to raise my hand. It doesn't have to be perfect. You know, all those things. I think people feel, you know, just like performance anxiety, they may feel anxiety around speaking up. Not everybody does. So there's a sense of purpose, and then there's a concerted effort to remind myself that, you know, that I can do this, and that I should. And then there is really quite a feeling of respect from my colleagues. And, you know, and my parents were wonderful creative people who were also, you know, really believed in human rights and civil rights. And I did grow up in, you know, and they were educators, and I did grow up in that household. But like I said, I am more shy. But, you know, if you have the drive to get something done, the values were instilled in me. Yes. And then you just keep going, you know, and yeah.
Mm-hmm. And you absorb them. You know, what I love about this strike is that this strike has made activists out of all of us. I mean, when I'm out there and the energy, and we're holding our picket signs, and we've all like gotten loud, and even shy writers. And I just want there to be a trickle down effect, or a triple up effect into the rest of the world. Because if the actors and the writers can stand up first, if Hollywood can speak out, do you believe that labor will strengthen, and there will be other, you know, I mean, we see it with hotel workers in LA right now and city workers. Do you feel like other people are going to come forward and stand up for their rights?
I absolutely think so. I think, like you said, I think the writers strike was very inspiring to so many of us before we went on strike. And Fran Drescher's speech the day after we walked out of the AMPTP. I mean, we offered our contract that we had negotiated with for 5.5 weeks, and they didn't want to continue to bargain with us if we were going to go on strike. So we went on strike, and that speech she gave was so genuine and so passionate, and it did, you know, ignite it and continue to what was already broiling. This is also what happened with the Me Too movement, I think. But it was already broiling, and you know, that speech just ignited such a passion and a fervor, and in a good way, and you feel it on the line. And what I love about it is that, you know, one of I always say my anxieties, I have to say it that way, getting in service was and for the whole contract, as I've been saying, was I made a good living as a journeywoman actress, as I would say, you know, back when, before streaming started.
I want to get back to that because you have some interesting credits. But what is a journeywoman actress? I saw that in your bio, and I'd never heard it before.
Well, people say a journeyman actor is like a working actor, which is someone who you may think that you know them, you may recognize their face, you've seen them in things, but they may never have starred in a television series or a movie. They're not a star. Maybe it's a little bit how people would call, your character actors in the past day. It's people who have, worked. It's a profession. So worked in guest spots and recurrings and small parts in movies and commercials over many years. And
but I like the title. The title though, I'm a journeywoman actress for sure.
You are.
And I like this like it's the journey, not the destination, because if you're shooting for stardom, right, it's one thing. But if you're a working actor and you're constantly working at your craft and you're in it for the long run, then it is a journey. I love that.
Yeah.
term.
That's such a good thing to point out, Rachel, because it is a journey and it's our lives and we love what we do. And it's a profession. It's not a sort of side, it's a side thing. This is what we've chosen to do for a living. And I was always so proud to be a journeywoman actress, a member of SAG, having joined when I was 15. I loved the union and I had health insurance for myself and my family for many years. I have a pension that I accrued, all the things that we all deserve. And was never focused I mean, of course, it would be wonderful to be a star and make, tons of money and all that stuff, but was never really focused on that, in the sense that I was just so happy to have the auditions and get the fabulous jobs that I got. I mean, I consider myself so lucky. I've loved the work that I do and the life that I have. I was going to say lifestyle, the life that I have. And I can say for the last 10 years with streaming coming in, and various, other things that haven't moved enough in our contract, that wasn't happening. And I had, back to my anxiety, I had this anxiety that younger people wouldn't even know that they deserved that, that was what being a part of our union and being a professional actor was a chance to, pay your rent and your bills and have those opportunities and enjoy the work that you got.
Right.
And now I'm so excited because and I'm so, you don't want people to give up on their dreams, and I love meeting younger people on the line who maybe they already felt that way, but there's many people who've been working that are younger for the last 10 years that never experienced what I experienced, which is how it should be. We've right now we're in the AMPTP was negotiating our old contract, which was based on broadcast, TV series when they were 22, 23 on the air. They would run for 10 years and you would get lots of residuals. And that was great for the journeyman actor. And, some years are better than others, but I just was concerned that young people wouldn't understand that they did deserve to make a good living as an actor, and a decent living somewhere in there, and be able to pursue their dreams. I don't want anybody to give up on their dreams. It's a calling for people, and people work hard. Absolutely. And they're good. They made it into SAG AFTRA, and anyone who's on their way there. These are professional, good actors that deserve these opportunities and deserve to be paid well for what they do in their profession. So I'm so happy to get on the line and say, yes, everyone does understand. These, younger people, are fighting for this for themselves. And I have a young 11-year-old girl that I worked on a show with last year, and she goes to the picket line 3 times a week, and she voted and she introduced herself to Duncan Crabtree Ireland on the line today. I love that. I love that. How
exciting. I've yet to meet him. I keep missing him, like 2 shows in the night.
He's amazing. He's just, oh man, he's a wonderful, wonderful leader.
I hope I can make that happen. Now, did you meet this young woman on American Horror Story? Because I saw you work with some young women on that show. I did, but we're not allowed to talk about, work that we've done. Yeah. Oh, that's right. That's right. Oh, we can't talk about it.
No promotion.
But I did, of course I saw it. No promotion. I don't know what that show is, but I did look at your IMDb, and I encourage everyone to look at Caitlin's IMDb. It's impressive.
You're so sweet.
I like watching your work. You're real, but we're not going to promote anything. So, okay. I work with candidates. You might not know this about me. I work with politicians, elected officials. I work on campaigns, and I'm very interested in your government committee, by the way.
And you work in governance. There you go.
Yeah. But I thought it was the other committee. I thought it was your committee when I signed up. Isn't that funny?
Oh, that's so funny.
Isn't there a government and policy committee?
Yes, government and public policy. It's fascinating. It's the part of our...
That's what I wanted to be on.
Part of our union that is involved in what's going on legislatively that affects our members, and advocating for bills and laws and educating our members. Yeah, it's fantastic. That's what you thought you were signing up for.
So I think I thought I was signing up for that, and but you know what? Governance is interesting because we're looking at all the contracts, and I think it's a great experience for any member to get on a committee and get involved. I love my military committee. I love serving veterans. So anyhow, the reason I brought this up was I was thinking to myself, oh, Caitlin is like a shoo-in to run for office. I mean, for something. And I wondered if you'd thought about it, and if this experience is making you, want to stand up and possibly serve.
Are you talking about office outside of SAG AFTRA?
Yeah, outside of the union.
Oh
yeah.
my gosh, that's so sweet. I love when people ask me that. That's so fascinating. And it might be the right time in my life because, my son is grown and I've gotten so involved with this work and I do love it. And I hadn't thought about it. I've thought about it, but thank you for asking.
Yeah. We should talk about it.
We should talk about it. Yeah. I've thought about it and I think about it. Okay, let's talk about it. I mean, okay. There's local office. There's
local. Well, we can talk here. There's local. There's national, right? And how you start, and there's so many organizations that support women that I am connected with, who it's just phenomenal resources. So anyhow, I wanted to plant that seed. I think that you're a great role model, and there are a lot of people listening to this that want to get involved and they just don't know how. And what I love about this, not what I love about the strike, but what I love about the opportunity to get involved with the union is I have a lot of young actors who aren't union yet that are showing up and so walking great. On the picket line. Isn't that fun?
It's so fabulous. I met a young man, Joe, I don't know his last name, who is in the same position for WGA and has organized events for what is that called when you're going to get into the
He's a captain? Oh, you're going to you're eligible.
You're eligible or you're aspire to it even or something like both of those things, probably eligible. I know for us it's eligible. And he organizes these fabulous events and I think he did some with the SAG AFTRA members too. And I think that's amazing. And it's a great way. It's a great way to connect with people in a union that you're going to want to join. Yes, for other members who are already here, I say this on the line all the time. Watch your emails for when the committees are populated. There's tons of committees in our union that are fabulous to work on. What time of year is that? What time of year is that? I think it's in October. And you can apply for various committees, and then you can say a little paragraph of why you would want to be involved. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm on 2 committees. I know it's great. And you can, it's social. There's events you can attend. Like for me, there's teaching opportunities. It's such a win-win. Yeah. It's such a win-win. Yes, there's usually some events planned around each committee, and then it's just fun because there's so many different committees. So whatever you might be interested in, next younger people. Women, education of members, government and public policy. I love it so much. There you go. Okay. I'm going to try this. Sexual harassment prevention. I love it. Yeah. There you go. And because you also discuss having events and helping people and, all that great stuff. Absolutely. Yeah. So I know I can't keep you forever. Is there any piece of information you can give us where we are? I know by the time this podcast comes out, who knows, things might have changed in another, week or two. So right now, as we speak, we are going into week 5 for our union on the picket line? It's about week 5. When was there 100? I think it's, yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Something like that. The weeks go by fast. So yes, we're going into week 5, are we right now? Yeah. What's the morale? Where are we? We're obviously not sitting down to talk contracts with them yet. Well, we're not. They have to get in touch with us and say that they would like to do that. We would like to do it, of course. And so that's what happened with the WGA is the AMPTP lawyers got in touch and said, we want to start negotiating again. And they had a meeting about that first because the WGA wanted to make sure they were serious about, the things that they wanted. And so they're doing that now. And they were on strike a bit over 100 days before that happened, which makes sense. I think with them, one aspect is there's a force majeure, situation in their contract where after 100 days, the producers are allowed to sort of drop any existing deals and everything like that. So they may have waited 100 days. And this is just from what I've read. You know, there's also the aspect of how it will, you know, for example, hurt the TV season if we wait too long with the writers and the actors, you know, because you need both of us to get into production. And, you know, if we go too much past, I think it was October 1st, you know, so let's say the end of September, then you're really affecting TV. You probably won't have a good mid-season pickup. A lot of shows that that were just starting or maybe started mid-season last year might not be continued or end up, you know, on the air because it's been too long. They'll have to wait till the next season. Now it's getting confusing in my own brain. But what I can say, that's all conjecture, is that I just don't know. But I would assume that if they can negotiate a deal with the WGA that works for the WGA, then they would hopefully come back to the table with us. You know, there needs to be very much a change in the way that they approach this negotiation. I was listening to Duncan on a podcast, and he said, you know, in the rooms, that their tactics with negotiation are really, he said they should retire them. They're just really awful. He's negotiated in the music business, you know, been across the table from a lot of tough negotiators. And what the AMPTP does is they stonewall you a lot. They try to sort of manipulate you. I think that's my opinion, in the way they word things, and the way they're looking at it is still from a very limited point of view, which has to do with the old contract and, you know, how much money they can spend. They can certainly afford what we're doing. They need to come back and look at it from the point of view of respecting our part in it, and that we want to make a better living, and we want consent and compensation for using our images with AI. We want a piece of streaming. We are the center of the wheel. It doesn't happen without us. There's no reason they get to make all of these fabulous streaming shows and not give us a little piece of that pie so that we can actually make a living. And then, you know, our wages haven't been increased in too long, and our pension and health caps have also need to come up, and they need to be. We were really strong about that. We held on to a lot of proposals. In the negotiation, we did do 5 weeks of negotiations already. So there's ways that we compromised, as everybody has to do in a negotiation. But where we ended up was a compromise. It was, you know, on a lot of issues, and then other issues that we're really holding firm to because we need them. So they need to be willing to negotiate with us on those things that I just listed. They need to come back to the table and engage with us in conversations about that. They did not engage with us at all about revenue share. And we said from the very beginning, we want consent and compensation in terms of AI. And their proposals were just really murky and, from our point of view, untenable in terms of, you know, giving over our images for a set fee, or just agreeing to things that didn't sit right with us, you know? And so, long story short, if they need to be willing to engage on those things, and I just don't know where they are with that. I hope they still don't look as actors as, you know, employees that they, you know, only have a certain amount of money they can give, and then, you know, they want to own our, you know, a lot of our performances and what we do and our images, and that should be okay because they're going to, you know, give us a paycheck. That's not going to happen. And so they need to really know that and show us that respect when we go back in the room. And so that's going to take some work from their point of view, you know, amongst them I mean, they got it when we walked out of the room. So what are they going to do? You know, are they going to do that? Are they going to come back to the table and show us that respect? Eventually hopefully they will.
It's overwhelming. There's so much work. There's so much more than I even thought, listening to you, that some areas you have not even discussed or gone into detail on.
I know.
That murky stuff.
Yeah.
And
it was really the revenue share.
Revenue shares huge.
The streaming share and showing the data so that we understood, you know, what shows were successful and why people were subscribing. They did not want to engage with us on that.
And share. I think what's incredible is how much time you're all putting into this. I mean, you're all actors too, and you all have to make a living, and you're volunteering your time to be on these negotiating committee. And I want to say thank you, because I know what it's like to do the service for the 2 small committees I'm on, but this is like,
and thank you for doing that. Yeah. It's what? Sorry, I interrupted
that's my pleasure. That's my pleasure. But how, I mean, you're spending weeks, you're spending months doing this, and you're on the picket line every day? Not
every day, as many days that I don't have something when I don't have something else to do. And I definitely try for 3 days a week, and I'd like to be there every day. I love being there. So it usually works out to about 3 days a week. But thank you for saying that. But it's a pleasure for me too. I mean, this is very historical. I love this work. I feel blessed. I just look around like, oh my gosh, I love this. Like when I said in the beginning, I was the happiest delegate at that first convention that my friend had ever seen. I love the work. And then here I am in the middle of something so exciting, and even more than exciting, you know, we're really going to change things, us and the members who voted for a strike. We're really going to change things for ourselves and for future generations. And I wouldn't miss it for the world. I'm so excited to be a part of it. It's just fantastic.
It's an awakening in our collective, you know, consciousness of people standing up for what they're worth. And there's so much corporate greed on this planet. And I, you know, have always felt for, you know, the people that are climbing uphill in this world and are artists, because we want to represent this collective of people, not just the haves, but the have-nots. And so all of this is, you know, the strike is theatrical in its own right. What's happening on the picket lines are theatrical. I mean, more than you could write in a movie. I encourage people to get out there, and that kind of energy and vitality and passion is something that we need in our world, and we need to awaken everyone to this situation. So you coming on the podcast is helping with that. And I thank you for getting your voice out there. If people want to reach you or follow you, where should they look, Caitlin?
Well, thank you for asking. I am on Instagram. My handle is my name, Caitlin Delaney. I'm on Facebook. Although I don't check it as much. Instagram's my favorite. I'm on X and Threads, but really I would say Instagram is the best way. And I hope people get in touch. I'm inspired by this work and what I do, and by our union, and by all the people around me. I'm inspired when I go on the line, so if I'm inspiring other people, I'm thrilled by that, because they inspire me.
You are the real deal, Caitlin. I am so happy to meet you. And I wish you the best. And we're all going to be paying attention to what you're doing, your fingers on the pulse. So, thank you for representing us. And I love having you on the podcast.
Oh, thank you so much, Rachel. Until the next time. And also let me say, if people want to get in touch with me, should I say my email or something, or is Instagram the best thing to do?
You can. You absolutely.
Okay.
If you would like
because
to
sometimes with Instagram, sometimes with Instagram, I, you know, if I'm not following someone, I don't see that they've sent me a message or something. So my email is just my name @gmail.com, CaitlinDelaney @gmail.com. Okay. And I'm happy to answer emails too.
Yeah. Caitlin and the, right?
Yes, I'll just say it. It's CAITLINDULANY@gmail.com.
Okay, that's very generous of you. And
yes.
I know that this is also, I want to say one other thing about this strike is that it's an opportunity to meet a lot of people that you would never normally meet. And I've had conversations with everyone from, an aspiring writer to Judy Garland's daughter to, you name it. I have had so many interesting conversations on the picket line with people. We're all in the same, playing field level on that picket line, and we're all fighting for the same thing. So it's coming together like this. Like it's really helpful to look at the glass half full in this situation, because you could feel discouraged and depressed, or you could say, hey, we're going to go out, make a difference, and I'm going to meet people while I'm out there, and I'm going to, enlarge my world and my experience. So thank you for leading the way again, and I will see you out on the picket line very soon.
I'll see you on the picket line. So nice to meet you, and thank you for asking me to be on this podcast, Rachel.
Thank you, Caitlin. Such a wonderful opportunity to talk to you, to know that you are at the forefront of our SAG AFTRA negotiations. Thank you for your time and your generosity. I know you're not getting paid for this, and you're doing this out of your own heart and care for our union. If you'd like to hear more of my podcasts, please go to my website, diaryofanactress.com. Until next time, stay inspired.